Young and Bloor, King, Front, some of the legendary streets in downtown Toronto where there's always activity. But if you want fun, excitement, and entertainment today, you better be a couple of clicks east. Right here at Canada's National Exhibition Place as the Pirelli World Challenge tackles Toronto. Revs coming up, we're green!
Big move coming off at 3.
2, 3, 4 abreast in some spots.
Side-by-side action.
He absolutely nailed it.
Three-way battle.
And we've got an incident. You would expect nothing less.
Oh, clips the inside apex.
Very racy. This is going to get interesting.
That is a brave move. What a pass. This is what World Challenge is all about.
Oh, sorry. Just Lake Ontario, the CN Tower, Exhibition Place. Oh, yeah. Pirelli World Challenge is back at Toronto. You know what? Some of the most legendary names, not only North American but global motorsports, have raced and won here at the Honda Indy Toronto. And for the Pirelli World Challenge to be invited back after a few-year absence is a huge compliment to this series. This is a legendary venue, and the racing here has always been fantastic, but it is a street course, concrete lined, bumpy. It is a huge challenge. Right now, it is time to get serious here at the Acura Sports Car Challenge as part of the Honda Indy Toronto. And for that, let's get it up to the booth and my partner, Calvin Fish.
Thanks, Greg. Fantastic to be back here in Toronto. I think the fans north of the border have a passion for motorsport that rivals the intensity you'll find anywhere in the world. This is more than a race, it's an event, and one that the city embraces every year. It's the 4th street circuit we have visited this year, and it's certainly one of the best. Some really challenging corners here, high-speed sections, and really supremely challenging for all of the drivers. Championship is really heating up in both classes. There's lots to play for, and we expect the Cadillac team to be really tough here today. So let's take a look and go on board with Andy Pilgrim as he will explain the Cadillac key corners on this challenging street circuit in Toronto.
I'm Andy Pilgrim, and this is your Cadillac Key Corners from Toronto, Canada. Coming into turn 1, very, very slippery here. We got a new patch on the inside. You can see that concrete patch. There's no grip there. You can see the car moving around, coming out onto the back straight. It is a straight, believe it or not. It's just got curves in it all the way down. Very, very quick. Get up into 6th gear here. I'm not even sure what speed we're doing, probably close to 160 miles an hour. And then you've got a very, very, very deep braking zone at the end there. Coming in hard. Now it goes uphill here. Another concrete patch. The car has a push there. Coming up, turn 3. Quick flick back to the left, turn 4. Traffic's going to be an issue here for sure. Coming up to turn 5. Up the hill, flattens out. Not bad grip here. Now we've got a nice corner, turn 6. Long right-hander on good tarmac, and it actually grips really well. This is actually a very fun corner. And then we've got a little straightaway here, and then a flat-out right-hand kink. Coming through this flat-out right-hand kink in 5th gear down to another right-hander turn 8. Very, very slippery concrete entering this corner. Extremely slick. And then we've got a left-hander here coming out to the front straightaway. We've got turn 10. And then we're right on the power hard coming out of this left-hander, and we use everything out all the way to the wall to get a shot down the front straightaway. And that is your Cadillac Key Corners from Toronto, Canada.
It is an absolutely fabulous racetrack, to be sure. Calvin, you talked about the great fans here, and they are coming out. They know something special is coming up today. Now, this is a track that is very racy for a street circuit. It is also renowned as being a place that's fairly easy to pass. But, Cal, there is one that stands out in particular for our Motul braking zone.
Absolutely, Greg. As you scream down Lakeshore Boulevard, you're going to get on the brakes down into our Motul braking zone for turn 3. It's very bumpy down here, and if you play nice, you can go side by side through this corner. It's got a wide entry, but if you get in too deep, there is an unforgiving tire barrier right there at the exit. So it's going to be a key part of this racetrack. I think it's certainly going to be a factor in which of those cars can get to the podium here today.
Well, Cal, one of the cars that's going to try and use that is this guy, Ernie Francis Jr., the young 15-year-old. Actually quickest time in qualifying, but happened to just miss being in compliance in post-qualifying tech, so he will start at the back of the TCB field. At the front, in our Motul Pole Award for a Touring Car B-Spec, Joe Liparini, the Race Labs Honda Fit. Nice lap by him at a 132.4. And at the Motul Pole Award for the touring car category, a guy who has been ultra quick since he showed up after missing Circuit of the Americas, Michael Cooper in that Atlanta Motorsports group, Mazda. So that's from Mazda Speed, and he's shown that. Now let's take a look at the highlights as the green flag flew. Always a rolling start for these back-to-back doubleheaders. Cooper into the lead right away. The Compass 360 boys trying to get around second qualified Tom Kwok in the M&S Quality Protos Honda, and Ernie Francis Jr. started his march.
Well, he's one of the most exciting drivers in the field. it's going to be fun to watch and see his progress here today.
There's a look at that touring car front runners as they come out of turn 2 and head down toward the Motul braking zone, turn 3. And as you can see, Ryan Winchester able to make that pass, get into second, pushing Kwok back into third.
And he's the points leader, so he needs to capitalize on this. Remember, Compass 360 are undefeated to this point in the championship year.
As always, John Miller and that number 68 Shea Racing, True Car Honda, racy in the early going, and look at this, Tom Kwok deciding to fight back. It's right back around Winchester, picks up that second spot.
And that's what this race circuit is all about, Greg. It gives you those overtaking opportunities even though we're on the streets here.
You still have to be careful though, because we had a bit of a moment as John Miller, Brett Sandberg getting together down in turn 1. That brought out a full course caution, and the iCar safety lights then came on inside the cars, provided by Motorsport Safety Electronics. A great innovation for this series. That gave us the full course yellow, which meant a restart. And once again, Cal Cooper getting a huge jump.
He does, but look at Winchester. He's our points leader. He slides down to the inside of Kwok and gets that second position.
Remo Raschuti, the young rookie, trying to stay around the outside, but Kwok had that inside position and was able to hang on. And as Cooper headed down into turn 3 one last time, action all over the place. And that is Alain Lazière. You saw him dancing on the brakes, the Mini Cooper S making its debut this season in touring car.
But you can see Cooper there. He was really dancing there, the car, as he's very late on the brake pedal down in our Motul braking zone.
And Ernie Francis Jr. making the move for 5th, coming up through the pack, getting around the Radium True Car Honda of Shea Holbrook. That put Ernie in the hydraulic jeans. Breathless performance entry up into the top 5. And a big moment for Remo Raschuti as he got a little help from Gary Kwok. Goes around on the run down into turn 3. White flag comes out, and look at this right here. A great ride by Ernie Francis Jr. getting around his dad up into second in class. A great comeback drive.
Well, I think the Perron will be on the podium, but up front in touring car, Michael Cooper was dominant today, Greg.
He had showed speed when he showed up at his first race at Lime Rock. However, had a mechanical problem, but when it came to it today, a great run, and he top step of the podium, Winchester second, and Tom Kwok in third. And from the pole, that Honda Fit in the hands of Joel Liparini, bringing it home. A great job, but a comeback drive through the pack extraordinaire by 15-year-old Ernie Francis Jr. So let's take a look at our results. It was Cooper with the win over Winchester, Tom Kwok completing the podium, then Gary and John Miller rounding out the top 5.
And in touring car B, you see Joel Liparini getting his second consecutive victory after a win at Lime Rock. He's making a move in the points as our championship leader, Robbie Davis, finishes down in 5th.
Take a look at the rest of the field in the touring car B-Spec category. Time for us to get to some of our specialty awards. Give me an idea of how intense the competition is. Our Optima Battery's best start, Ryan Winchester moving up 1. That one passed, but that's how fierce the competition was. And there's a look from his onboard as he picked up that spot. Now we go to the Sunoco Hard Charger Award. This was the number 90 of Gary Kwok. Big move, having qualified back in the 8th spot and moving up and finishing 4th. Then Cal, the CTSV move of the race, that same pass.
Absolutely, Winchester again slides it down to the inside. This time he cements a spot on the podium.
That was at the restart, and then the key turning point of the race when Remo Raschuti got a little bit of help and got spun around right in the center of the race, lucked out and completely got away with it. No other contact. Our Motul fast laps of the race in the touring car division, the number 89 of Tom Kwok, a great run by him after qualifying second, and Ernie Francis Jr. getting the nod in touring car B-Spec.
And it's just a quick 10-minute break before we see action again. The teams are allowed to rotate their Pirelli tires, change one of them, but not much time, Greg.
No, it's not, and we'll have highlights of race 2 in just a minute. An absolutely glorious day here at the Acura Sports Car Challenge at the Honda Indy Toronto. Welcome back, everybody. And we are just about ready to give you some highlights from the second of the doubleheader races here at Toronto, round 8 of the championship. But you know, when you take a look at the fields here in the Pirelli World Challenge, one thing you'll note, and we've talked about it, is the variety of manufacturer and the brands that can participate. And that's because regardless of what model you make or what category it might run in, there's a place for you to run in the Pirelli World Challenge. There's a look at the grid as they were setting up for the second round of the doubleheader, the 8th round of the championship. Your Motul Pole Award winner, based on finishing positions in the first race, Joel Liparini in the Race Labs Honda Fit. And that did him a lot of good in terms of the championship, that great run. And in the touring car division, the Motul Pole Award to Michael Cooper in the Mazda 3. A bit of deja vu for Michael. And as we take a look at the highlights on the start, It was, again, Michael Cooper, the turbo in that car, when it spools up, he really got a great jump, Cal, but there was some pretty furious action, and in fact, John Miller caught in a squeeze play.
Yeah, he tried to squeeze it between Quark and Rashidi, nowhere to go, and these two guys having contact as they did about 30 minutes ago in race 1 here.
And there was more to unfold. A couple of Canadian touring car guys making their first weekend starts, Alain Lazière and Jonathan Young having a little bit of contact. Both of them able to continue with minor damage and getting away with it. Close quarters racing here in Canada. Meanwhile, going back into the touring car B-Spec, Robbie Davis, who needed to move up through the pack, did exactly that, Cal. Again, championship contender.
Yeah, he finished off the podium, Greg, in round 1 here. Of course, he is the championship leader, but that lead is tenuous at best right now.
And he continued to use that as motivation, getting around Dave Alejandro. Watch right there as Shea Holbrook getting into the back of Dave, sending him into a bit of a pogo move. Everybody continuing.
Now we see a great battle for the lead here, coming down into our Motul braking zone. Liparini looking for 2 in a row here in Toronto, but Francis Jr. wants the top step of that podium here today.
Not able to get it at that moment. A little bit later on, a big moment here. Alain Lazière getting through, but David Sharp taps him and rebounds into the rookie Remo. And John Miller, taking evasive, catches the tires as well, but drives off. And that brought out a full chorus caution, which means all of that great battling now compressed. And there's Alain Lazière taking a look at his damaged Mini, but great to see Mini in touring car as well. At the restart, Cooper doing what Cooper does, opening it up, and Remo Rushidi looking very, very racy, trying to figure out a way through, not quite able to get it done, Cal.
Cooper has just been the master of these restarts, and here we see that battle for the lead again in TCB. Down that long back straightaway, along Lakeshore Boulevard. Ernie Francis Jr., does he have enough head of steam here to get the move done? Moves to the middle of the racetrack. Liparini tries to come back at him.
But Francis Jr. was able to make that move stick. At the checkers, it was Cooper getting his second win on the day, with, again, Tom Kwok, a very, very racy second, and Ryan Winchester hanging on to the points there with a run into third. And in touring car B-Spec, Ernie Francis Jr., once he got to the lead, was able to open it up. But Robbie Davis and Joe Liparini completing the podium. So the points battles closing up in both divisions. Let's take a look at the results in touring car. Cooper with his second win, Kwok a second, Winchester third, Miller up into fourth, and Remo Rushidi, even with all the damage to that car, finishing in fifth.
And in touring car B, it's Ernie Francis Jr. with his 4th victory of the year. And what that does for him, vaults him over Robbie Davis to the championship lead.
Yeah, that was a key move for Ernie Francis Jr. Let's take a look at some of the specialty awards, starting as always with our Optima batteries. Best start, and it was Remo Rushidi starting in 9th, improving 4 spots, even with the contact, able to sneak through. Boy, that's amazing how that one unfolded. Then our Sunoco hard charger, Robbie Davis, Cal, great run.
Yeah, he had a superb run to get up onto the podium, and here you see him getting around Liparini.
And he also got the CTSV move of the race. Again, some of these great passes he was able to effect.
Well, he talked about it, the great stability that Mini platform provides.
And the key turning point of the race was that big moment down in turn 3, all precipitated by the contact right there. That brought out the full course caution. A lot of front runners involved at that moment. And now let's take a look at our Motul Fast Lap of the Race Award winners in the touring car division. A great day for Tom Kwok in the number 89 M&S Produce entry, and Ernie Francis Jr. on his way to the front in the number 98. Now let's take a look at our touring car driver points presented by Volvo. Winchester with a substantial margin over his 2 teammates. John Miller right there in 4th, and Michael Cooper closing in as he continues to win. In the manufacturer's points in touring car, Honda has a substantial lead right now over Kia. Cal?
And in touring car B, the point situation presented by Kia, well, it's Ernie Francis on top. It's a marginal lead right now over Robbie Davis, who's having a great year. Liparini got round 1 here in Toronto. He sits in 3rd.
And as we take a look at the podium, there you can see a great day indeed. And Michael Cooper celebrating big time, as he should. When we come back, it is our featured race from Toronto, GTS Round 10. The Pirelli World Challenge, the most intense and unique sports car racing on the planet. Multiple classes running at the same time, but in a sprint format. Some of the world's top manufacturers and the world's best drivers, all beginning with standing starts. It is truly sports car wars. For series and event ticket information, check out world-challenge.com. To watch replays of all the intense action, check out world-challengetv.com. And always check it out, Pirelli World Challenge on Facebook. Welcome back to the Acura Sports Car Challenge at the Honda Indy Toronto. Great look at the seat and tower of the celebrating landmarks in this wonderful city. And again, you go just a little bit west to Exhibition Place. That is where this huge crowd is looking forward to the start of the 10th round of the Pirelli World Challenge GT and GTS Championships. We are getting ready to go for what should be a spectacular race. There's a good look at Lasse Aschenbach, who's making a bit of a charge in the GTS category in his Black Dog Speed Shop Chevrolet Camaro. But let's get you right now to our Motul race analysis, Cal.
23 cars will see the green light here today. Standing start's going to be really spectacular. Perfect weather conditions, mid-80s, and this fantastic street course. 11 turns, just under 2 miles, and you can see the lap records there held by Popes and P.D. Cunningham.
And you'll note both of those set in 2010, the last time the Pirelli World Challenge raced here. Street circuits always change a little bit. There's a look at second qualifier, Alex Figge, always fast, has had just some issues in races. There's your pole sitter, Johnny O'Connell. And you can see fully focused on this race coming up today. In qualifying, Tim Pappas in the beautiful Mercedes Gullwing had a huge shunt, hitting the concrete barriers on the outside of the last turn, not able to make the start today. And unfortunately, Randy Popes was caught up in that and had some damage to the car when he went through the debris field, and he's going to be starting at the back of the field today in a backup car. Sad not to see Pappas racing. But let's get into our Pirelli storylines. Great battles in both divisions. James Sofrona's coming in, but he's getting chased down by Johnny O'Connell. Baldwin continuing to lead, but Mark Wilkins really starting to heap some pressure on him. We talked about Lawson closing into this group as well in the Camaro. So we've got a great mix, and as we said, first time in a few years we've been back here. Will track knowledge help out the guys you've raced here before?
Well, the championship is tight right now, Greg, so I think any edge that you may have over your competition will be critical as we get to the final stages of this year.
Absolutely. Let's take a look at our Motul Pole Award winners in GTS. Lasse Aschenbach in that number 10 Black Dog Speed Shop Camaro. That's 7 points as he's trying to chase down those 2 leaders. Same story for the guy on the pole here. Remarkable. 6th pole in the last 7 races for Johnny O'Connell in that beautiful number 3 Cadillac. And that, of course, another 7 points as he's trying to hang on and have a shot at that. There is a look at the beautiful Cadillac CTSV pace car that is going to be setting this field on its way. And of course, this is the Acura Sports Car Challenge at the Honda Indy Toronto. For our special command, let's get down to Jerry Chenkin, President CEO of Honda Canada. Great partner for this event. It's time.
On behalf of our friends at Optima Battery and all of the associates and dealers at Honda Canada, drivers, start your engines.
That's how you do that, and we are ready to go racing here on the streets of Toronto, actually in Exhibition Place. This should be a good one. Here's our starting grid. Johnny O'Connell, as I said, another pole. Alex Figge continuing to show the pace in that K-Pax Racing Volvo. We go into row 2. Points leader James Sofronis in his Global Motorsports Group Mobil 1 Audi R8 LMS, and Andy Pilgrim second in the Cadillacs in the number 8. Looking at row number 3, Mike Sneed in that Hawk Performance, Hawk Brakes Chevrolet Corvette, and Duncan Eddy in the Merchant Services Stand.org Audi R8. Moving into the 4th row, Fred Roberts returning in his SRT Dodge Viper Coupe, and Randy Popes in the backup K-Pax Volvo. Cal, what's in GTS?
Well, on the pole for the 3rd time this year, it's Lasse Aschenbach in the Black Dog Speed Shop Chevy Camaro. Another Chevy on the front row, young Andy Lee in the Best IT Crown 7 Bondron version. It's 7-time champ P.D. Cunningham leading row 7 in his Acura TSX in real time, and our championship leader, the Motul Porsche Cayman of Jack Baldwin. It's all Kias on row 8, led by Nick Johnson, and Mark Wilkins, who's in the thick of this championship battle, lines up right beside him. It's a pair of Mustangs on row 9, led by Eric Davis, his best qualifying performance to date, and he'll line up alongside Alec Udell in the Motorsports Development Boss 302R. It's Nick Asayan in the second of the real-time Acuras, leading row 10. Right beside him, rookie Roger Rodas in the always evolving performance Ford Mustang. Next row is Brad Adams in the Voodoo Dat Dog Yo MTV Raps, Mustang Boss 302S, and Tony Gables in the second of the Black Dog Speed Shop Chevy Camaros. And on the final row of the grid, it will be Artie Topi in the Capaldi Racing Ford Mustang alongside Buzz McCall in the Goldcrest Racing Porsche Cayman S.
So the field out, getting ready on their installation lap to set up for the standing start here at, oh, and a problem. P.D. Cunningham, and there's some smoke out the back of that car. He's got some sort of, oh, there's an oil trail, Cal. Wow. Something has let go in that engine, apparently. That is all of the oil depositing on the track. Unbelievable, a great qualifying run for PD up to third, and apparently all for naught.
Wow. His difficult season continues, Greg. This is unbelievable. Just as we thought he had the speed to maybe climb back into this championship battle, that will be a big pull in the points here today.
Oh, unbelievable. And of course, now we're going to have a quick bit of cleanup. Fortunately, that was offline. Hopefully, we'll be able to get to racing in a big hurry. Look at that. The EV crews already there, have PD on the hook. So while they're doing that cleanup, we're going to step away for just a minute. But when we come back, the thunder of a standing start here in Toronto. We are back at the Acura Sports Car Challenge at the Honda Indy Toronto, getting ready for this 10th round of the GT and GTS Championship. Phenomenal day. There is the Cadillac Escalade, which is our official safety vehicle. Our safety specialists on board providing response when necessary. And as we're getting ready to go, let's get you set up with our GoPro Quad Box presented by Kia, Cal.
Well, we expect some spectacular shots here today. Top left, you're going to see on board with Artie Topi in the number 21. He'll start 13th in the GTS field today. Brad Adams, the number 96, will start 11th in his Ford Mustang. Then it's going to be Jimmy Sofronis, three-time winner this year in his Audi R8. And Randy Post in that backup car. He's won here twice on the streets of Toronto.
Always phenomenal images from those GoPro cameras. Looking forward to it. As we are the start of the race, remember when the lights go out, we go racing. The green flag says the grid is clear. Watch for those wheeling lights to come on. We're ready. It is about time. Round 10 of the championship, and we are green. Good launch, as you would expect, by Alex Figge right to the front. And O'Connell actually maybe a little bit of an off start. And look at Sofronis hanging on, diving down to the inside of Pilgrim. Cal. He's got third.
He's got third, and what a start by Alex Figge on essentially the dirty part of the racetrack. He just got that traction and was gone.
Also a nice start by Mike Skeen in the Hawk Performance vet up and into, and actually challenging now Pilgrim to the outside, going down into turn 3, and Andy Lee taking a run at the outside of Aschenbach in the background there.
Pilgrim there makes the move stick, gets a little bit tight down in that move tool braking zone, but Andy gets that position away from Mike.
Boy, and Randy Popes, a good launch as well, tucked right in behind that number 2 Hawk Performance vet. Popes needed that start.
He did, he got a brilliant start.
Ooh.
Oh, a little bit of argy-bargy there through turn 7.
Duncan Endy into the back of Fred Roberts, who used that big V10 and that Viper to get a good launch as well. Endy trying, looking at him here. Is he going to try him down into 8? He does.
Beautiful move. Duncan Endy really starting to feel his oats here in this Audi now, coming to grips with it nicely. Here we see the leader in GTS. This is Lawson Aschenbach. He's feeling pressure from Andy Lee right now as he tries to deal with this GT traffic.
And look at the margin already that Figge has managed to open up. There's O'Connell in second, then Sofronis defensive on Pilgrim right there. That Audi hanging on down into turn number 1. And now this is just sort of an opening radius, and it just is a blast down to 3, isn't it?
Yeah, and it really is. It's a hairy corner for these guys. They get these Pirelli tires up to temperature.
All right, let's check in and see who our best standing start from Optima Batteries, and it was Brad Adams, started 20th. That green Mustang, look at that move. Yo, empty wraps is on the fly.
Like, yo, I'm coming through, baby.
Man, did he nail that? That's 2 rows he just got before he'd even shifted gears. That's impressive stuff. Meanwhile, back to the battle for the lead in the GTS class. Aschenbach now has about 3 car lengths in hand over Andy Lee, and that shrinks under braking here. And then those 2 Kias looking very strong as well, Cal.
Absolutely. It's Camaro, then the pair of Kias, as you said. And a lot is going to come down to tire management and brake management around these street circuits. Nick Johnson performing really well here this weekend. And the guys in the thick of that championship battle. Mark Wilkins sits there in 4th right now. Of course, he's the local, resides here in Toronto.
And of course, the question is, what happened to Jack Baldwin, who qualified 3rd? He got shuffled back outside of this lead group just a little bit. Championship leader, that's not what he wanted. We hop on board with Andy Lee in that Crown 7 Best IT Bonder Camaro.
You don't see Jack Baldwin have very many poor starts, so
no.
This is a rarity, and it's one that the other guys need to capitalize on in this championship chase.
He's an old drag racer, so he usually gets great launches as we're on board with Figge. And the key thing for him, clear track in front at least for a while. And Sofronis now looks like he's been able to open the gap up over Pilgrim and actually challenge O'Connell a little bit.
Well, that Audi is really good under the brakes, and into that Motul brake zone, you could see him take a car length out of that gap to Johnny O'Connell. So O'Connell was hoping that his teammate Andy Pilgrim could maybe harry Sofronis and keep him off his rear bumper. So now Johnny has to manage this race really carefully.
On board with Popes, that is the Hawk Performance number 2 Corvette right up front of Mike Skeen. as there is Skeen heading into this very serpentine section of track with the pressure. And actually, Popes has dropped off just a little bit at this point. Skeen, and that's why. Skeen now starting to really put the pressure on Pilgrim.
He really is. It looks like he's got a lot of speed at this stage of the race, and he's a very aggressive driver. Had a lot of success, of course, over the last couple of seasons in the GT class. Post is hanging in there, though. This racetrack really suits his eye, and it certainly suits the Volvo.
Boy, what a beautiful venue here. There's the Princess Gate in the background. We're going to step away for a moment. Your leader overall and in GT is Alex Figge. In GTS, it's Lasse Aschenbach. Welcome back to the Acura Sports Car Challenge at the Honda Indy Toronto. Great racing unfolding. And as you can see, Johnny O'Connell and James Sofronis have closed up big time on the back of Alex Figge in that Capex Volvo. We have a great race unfolding for the overall race lead, Cal.
Well, I think Sofronis is actually forcing Johnny O'Connell's hand here a little bit. I think Johnny wanted to manage this race, but he saw Sofronis coming. So that's meant that he's now had to put the pressure on Figge. Figge had that brilliant launch, of course. Great first lap, opened up on Johnny O, but they've been tweaking on this caddy all season long. It is really strong.
Yeah, and Andy Pilgrim not too far adrift of this group either, right there in that second silver Cadillac. As we watch those three leaders heading down, you can see some lap traffic from the GTS field is going to be playing into things in relatively short order. Long run down into our Mode Tool braking zone, and nobody able to make up huge gains. Although right there, Sofronis does, as you said, close up a little bit, and Andy Lee continues to hound leader Lasse Aschenbach in the two Camaros.
Yeah, he's being a real pest to Lawson right now. He's got a lot of speed. Keys are hanging in there. Nick Johnson has gapped. Mark Wilkins just a little bit. So he's keeping those Camaros in sight as we come on this front straightaway.
Well, and Wilkins racing at home. He's second in the points. He lives in Toronto. You think he'd be well motivated, and we're getting reports he may have some sort of a handling issue in that car. Boy, look at this. A phenomenal run by Eric Davis. He had his best qualifying performance ever, and that is his teammate Roger Rodas right behind him. But Davis absolutely on form right now. Owns Autotopia, which is a great car collection. Taking a look at the inside of Adams down into turn one, and this always evolving team continues to do just that. Ooh, look at that. Janssen really putting some pressure on Lee for second at this point.
Yeah, he's really coming on strong. I think the Camaros are backing up to Nick Janssen right now, but he is showing tremendous speed. Not in the thick of the points chase, not had an easy year so far.
Oh, and another tough day for young 17-year-old Alec Udell in that Motorsports Development Group, Watson Racing, LeBoeuf Brothers Towing Mustang. You can see absolute dejection on that young man's face. He'd shown some good pace here, and apparently mechanical out for the rest of the race. And there is that battle for that top three. Great stuff.
Camaros are looking really good. You can see Andy Lee there sliding his car just a little bit. I mean, certainly that Kia's got great straightaway speed, and that's one of its strengths. And you know, here at Toronto, that run down Lakeshore Boulevard, it should come into its own a little bit. Doesn't have the cornering, rolling speed at certain track, but certainly great strength in top end.
And watching now as our overall leaders coming up onto that battle. Ooh, a big wiggle right there by Eric Davis for just a moment as he is continuing to try and fight his way by Brad Adams. There goes Figge around one as we've got that great action on the right, Cal, and GT. We got it in both classes. Fierce stuff.
Wow, look at that. Johnny O has slid down the inside. He's got the lead from Figge. They're down in turn one with that schmozzle with the GTS traffic.
Again, traffic will play such a role, does here, as GTS leaders continue a close battle, but Figge loses out in that exchange. Can he close up here down into turn three? Not close enough, and Johnny O has put that Cadillac up front, just what he wanted to do in terms of that points championship.
That was a fantastic move. Yeah. When you're on board with Figge, you can see the speed, now bumpy this racetrack is down into turn three. Really a challenge for these drivers and getting the setup right on these race cars.
And Eric Davis and Rodas both able to get by Brad Adams in that exchange in traffic. And of course that traffic backed everybody up just a little bit, and it has allowed Andy Pilgrim and Mike Skeen to close right back up on this group.
Well, it's a real chess match, and you just have to gauge that and time it right. And Johnny O'Connell has so much experience, of course. You can see him now. He's going to try and get this margin out. Remember, it's a street circuit. Anything can happen. Track position is key.
Oh, and Eric Davis has gone into the barriers at some point. Damage on that left front corner. Was running fifth, by far and away his best run. See if we can go on board and see what happened here, Cal.
Oh, this is in turn 6, I believe. It's a difficult corner. It's kind of blind. You kind of hug your way around there.
Oh, Nick Janssen
looks to the inside. He's got the speed. He makes it stick on Andy Lee.
Nick Janssen has moved up into second. I'm not sure if that was actually going to run down Lawson and give him a go, or just to make sure Andy didn't fight back on him. One thing that concerns me a little bit, water, when Eric hit that barrier, all of that water in those tires has exploded out onto the track and coming into that area of the track, and there it is. You can see damp, everybody's skating through.
Wow. Well, hopefully we can keep it clean here. He's now in the pits, just having that body work straightened out a little bit. They've got the banner off. He's having a tremendous run here today, Greg. Great. Oh, that's a leader. No, Figgy from second has spun.
I wonder if it's in that water. Oh, and there's Popes coming through. Going to go back and see if we can see what unfolded here. Here they come. That's that water. And yeah, Figgy, the back end gets away.
Safronis. Talk about threading the needle. We're on board with James here. There you can see Alex just loses the back end of the car. He slides through.
That was a phenomenal piece of driving by Safronis to be able to squeeze through a virtually non-existent gap. And for Figgy, his season of speed and then bad luck continues. Wow. Unfortunate as it can get for Alex Figgy.
Well, you would think that the teams would have been on their radio communication to the driver saying there's a problem there in turn 6. Be careful. You can see how tiptoeing Johnny O'Connell is through that section of the racetrack. Cannot afford to make a mistake. Pilgrim now coming to put some pressure on Safronis.
And here are your top 4 in GT. O'Connell now leading overall. In GTS, Aschenbach leads Janssen, Lee, and Wilkins. We'll be right back. Fierce action continuing in the GTS category here at the Acura Sports Car Challenge at the Honda Indy Toronto, round 10 of the GTS Championships. And they're still dealing with that little bit of water right there, Cal, but what a run by Nick Janssen, has moved up into second.
He's looking really strong. You can see him really tucking to the inside. There's a bit of a dry line there now through that area where we saw the water get split. So these guys are getting used to that, and you can gain a vital few tenths if you take a bit more of a risk through that section right now, I bet.
And you can see our overall race leader right now coming up to our top 3 in GTS, Johnny O'Connell. This is where you've got to be so careful because you've got James Safronis hounding you. That's the championship battle, and the top 3 you're going through in GTS are in their own race. There is a good look at Nick Janssen, who's been having a great run. Nice job there. Adams letting those guys through, understanding what was coming up behind him. But boy, Safronis really pushing awfully hard right now. And in between those 2 caddies, and Pilgrim is close. Oh, no! Nick Janssen, another issue.
Wow,
can this guy get a break?
What a season he's had. He's had so much speed at times, but just not getting those breaks. It's one of those years to forget. Just got to keep digging, but hard to believe. I think he was definitely a threat for the win here today.
Absolutely. Boy, look at Safronis back into that Audi, stepping out. He is pushing incredibly hard right now, trying to hang on to O'Connell and hang on to that point lead. And we've got a yellow heading down into turn 1 here. That's for Nick Janssen's car that's parked right over there on the right side of the track and pit out. Hopefully they'll get that moved and open up that great passing zone. But Safronis just trying to stay with O'Connell right now.
He's pushing hard, and I think after that early season lead that he got in the points, he consolidated it a little bit. He wasn't quite as aggressive, but right now the points have got really tight. Safronis came in here with a 31-point lead, but remember, O'Connell got that 7 bonus points for the pole position, so it is really tight right now.
Yeah, he knows he's got to push hard, and right now it's Andy Pilgrim who's actually pushing him. We're riding on board with Artie Topi in his GTS Ford Mustang Boss 302S. Artie giving us a good look at this street circuit here in Exhibition Place in Toronto. Great
Traffic
ride.
there, right in the wrong place for O'Connell. He couldn't go around the outside. Remember, there's water there, so he had to wait and be patient around Buzz McCall.
Everybody skating through almost literally with that water on track. And nothing changing. You can see these 3 have really gapped now. Mike Skeen in that Hawk Performance Corvette, who's back quite a ways. It's down to really a 3-way battle for the win.
Pilgrim is looking really strong as well. Certainly the caddies are strong leading this race with O'Connell, but Pilgrim is coming in a hurry. Yes, he wants to...
Oh! Safronis back end. No, he can't save it. And that just stepped out suddenly, Cal, under hard braking.
Just
brake
like
bias issue, maybe, something like that.
That's what it looked like, but these cars have so many electronic aids, Greg. I mean, that should take care of that, but certainly James was taken by surprise there a little bit on the entry to turn 1. Now he's trying to get back up to speed as the GTS cars fly by him on this back straightaway. Let's see if there's more of an issue. Skeen got by. So Safronis is dropping down the order a little bit as he tries to regroup.
Now he's back up to speed. So, boy, that was just a bizarre moment. We'll have to see if we hear anything coming from pit lane, but that puts the two caddies right now into a 1-2 run at the front of this field.
And that's exactly what they want. They want it for the manufacturers, and they want it for Johnny O and those drivers' points as well.
And exactly what you were talking about for Sofronis, trying to hang on to his point lead. And now the guy who is giving him all the pressure in that battle has a lead. Sofronis is out of a huge swing potential here in terms of the GT points battle.
Look at this. This was not pretty there for Andy Pilgrim. He tried to be patient there. Then Roberts went a little bit wide, got in the marbles. And look at the gap that is created for O'Connell.
And look at Skeen now able to close up. And by the way, you notice they pulled that yellow heading down into turn 1. Everybody has seen Janssen's car. Let's go on board with the number 34 of Nick Asayan for our iBox suspension cam on a street course. These components are going to get brutalized.
They really are, and that's really the key. You talked about track knowledge, Greg. Certainly for the drivers, it's great to know these circuits, but for the teams, getting this iBox suspension working well over the bumps and different surfaces that you encounter on a street circuit is really key.
Big thanks to Nick Asayan and that HPD Redline Oil Acura from Real Time Racing for giving us that great look. Your leaders in class right now, overall and in GT, Johnny O'Connell, and in GTS, Lawson Aschenbach. Stay with us. These guys are all pedaling mighty quickly right now.
Look at this, Greg. Skeen is all over the bumper of Andy Pilgrim.
Huge close and gets around that bit of traffic. Pilgrim's got to go the long way around Brad Adams and does, but he did get held up a little bit. Skeen might have a little bit of momentum. Down to the inside. Andy trying to set up for one, not quite close enough, and Skeen has to tuck in. And great job, by the way, by Brad Adams in being very aware of who's doing what around him on the racetrack. And is that Jack Baldwin?
It is. Jack Baldwin had that poor start. He is right on the tail of Mark Wilkins now. And we're hearing that Mark has been struggling with the handle of the car for some reason. Car's slipping and sliding on him. See if he can hang on to that final podium spot.
Well, Wilkins second in the championship, Baldwin leading, so that's huge as well. Boy, potential big swings in both camps here in GT and GTS with developments. And Mike Skeen looking real racy right now. He's had some speed this year, but he just has tended to fall back a little bit sometimes during the weekend. Not today, Cal. He's coming on.
He's coming on, but I tell you what, Andy Pilgrim showed his strength there. Skeen had the momentum, but Andy was really good on the brakes, braking in the middle of the road, was able to take it in deep, and Skeen really just didn't have an avenue there down the inside.
Love this sequence of corners here. 8, 9, that's 10, and then feeding through this very fast sweeping turn 11. And you can see, of course, there's zero track out over there. It's concrete. That's a very, very tricky corner, and you got to really, really have the car working and also have some pretty good commitment.
Yeah, serious attachments are needed. That is for sure. We're on board with Lawson Aschenbach here as he continues to lead in GTS, but this is just a fantastic street circuit. You see the high-speed nature of Lakeshore Boulevard, the hard braking zones, the overtaking opportunities, and then you have those high-speed sections coming on that front straightaway, Greg. Just a great balance here at Toronto.
Yeah, it's a street circuit that races like a road course, doesn't it, in lots of ways other than the concrete everywhere you look. And look at this now as O'Connell starting to come up on the back of Lawson Aschenbach, and Lawson realizing he's got a little bit of room here. And that's one of the things, as a guy being overtaken when you're racing at the front of your class, you will use the overtaking traffic to your advantage, won't you?
Absolutely. And I tell you what, Pilgrim, I think, may have a little bit more speed than Johnny O'Connell. So if he gets any closer, we'll have to wait and see how these two teammates fare here for the final few laps.
Yeah, that's a good point. Of course, Pilgrim sits third in the championship. Not as close as O'Connell by any stretch, but he's just not going to give up if he's got an opportunity here. Watch for the white flag. It flies. We are on our last lap here in round 10 for GT and GTS at Toronto. The Acura Sports Car Challenge at the Honda Indy Toronto, a venue that everybody so looks forward to coming to. And the reason is racing like this. On board now, that's Baldwin on the right, getting a run on Wilkins. This is huge. Down into that first turn. Boy, Baldwin getting to the inside, then putting the squeeze play on.
This is good racing. This is great racing. Trading a little paint. Wow, that was good, clean racing there. I mean, Mark took it in deep, but then didn't want to force it out wide. He realized he'd done a sketchy part of the racetrack, but that is critical in this championship. Remember, Wilkins is chasing down Baldwin. He wanted to keep in front of him, and Jack gets around him here on the final lap.
And, boy, look at this as he comes right back, Wilkins does. The outside, though, down into turn 3. not going to be able to get it done. But you're seeing the good straight line speed of that Kia and the great cornering of the Porsche. A great mix, and up front, Calvin, the two Cadillacs, 2 corners to go.
Well, you can see there, Pilgrim had some speed. He closed in on Johnny O, but looks like Johnny Red's going to get another one here today.
Boy, what a year for Johnny O'Connell. This is probably going to give him the points lead as well. A great day on the streets of Toronto at Exhibition Place for Team Cadillac. Phenomenal day indeed. And here comes Lawson Aschenbach, notching up a strong win for him as well, his 4th of the season, to go along with O'Connell's 4th. Up front, wow, great racing, both classes.
That was fantastic, Greg. Skeen had a brilliant performance there. Bronze for Jimmy Sofronis. Let us see where he ends up finishing, how it affects the points chase here at the end of the day. And in GTS, wow, what about Wilkins and Baldwin trading there at the end of the race?
Yeah, great close quarters racing in both categories, and that battle at the end in GTS between Wilkins and Baldwin, superb stuff indeed. Now let's take a look at our unofficial results. O'Connell and Pilgrim, 1-2 for Cadillac, Skeen 3rd, Sofronis back and forth, could have been worse, and Popes rounds out the top 5. Cal, big developments though in GTS.
Absolutely, Aschenbach gets his 4th win, solid run for Andy Lee. Baldwin on the podium again, and look at that, Mark Wilkins, the car failed on the final lap, but the other guys were 1 lap behind, couldn't take advantage.
So he still gets that finish and those points. That is amazing how that unfolded. Johnny O'Connell into the pit lane, into victory circle, and out of the car. And guess what, folks? He gets the Cadillac CTSV move of the race, and Cal, it was because of a brilliant veteran move in traffic.
It was crafty. Look at this. It was getting ugly down there in turn 1. Figgy was trying to wait. Johnny O said, I'll take that. Thank you.
Let's get down to Jeff Lepper.
Well, we'll get Johnny O'Connell here, making it 2 in a row. Johnny, win at Lime Rock, win back-to-back here again.
Wow. You know, we actually got really lucky there because, you know, it was traffic that allowed me to try to make a move on Alex on the inside of 1. I didn't mean to get in that deep at all. I mean, I was fighting some brake issues during that race, and so I thought I was going to wreck the entire field right there. So, you know what, and then, you know what, it's like always rather be lucky than good when that, you know, all that water went across the track. You know, my engineer told me, you know what, there's water right there, so I got out of it big time. And then when I looked in the mirror, I saw Alex fighting and go around, and I was like, whew, I'll take the break.
And he'll also take the lead. The GT Drivers' Points presented by Volvo, big change.
There is Johnny O'Connell. Despite that little bit of luck, as he calls it, I thought it was great racecraft when I looked at it. He gets the lead now from Sofronis.
And let's take a look at our GT Manufacturers' Points. Cadillac continues to lead over Audi, Volvo 3rd, Chevy, and AMG Customer Sports round out the top 5. Let's get down to victory circle. Jeff Lepper has an exuberant Lawson Aschenbach.
So Lawson Aschenbach, the Black Dog Speed Shop, Team Chevy. Boy, man, flag to flag, pulled away, great win.
That was great. I mean, I think most importantly, I got to say hats off to the Black Dog Speed Shop guys. Team Chevy Camaro was fast all weekend. We, you know, we've been gaining and gaining every weekend. You know, people forget that the first race for this car was at St. Pete, so we're still learning, but very happy with the race. And you know, this thing ain't over till it's over, so we're going to push as hard as we can and try to catch Jack here in the points. But hats off to all the competitors, Pirelli, World Challenge, all the fans too. I mean, this was a great event. We always love coming here and hope to come back a lot more.
Yeah, when you win, you love the place, don't you? Let's go to our GTS Drivers' Points presented by Volvo. Jack Baldwin hanging on. Wilkins 2nd, but Aschenbach is closing in, Cal.
He really is, and when we look at the GTS Manufacturer Points presented by Kia, it's Chevy on top. Kia lies in 2nd, Acura and Ford round out the table.
And a big story developing for us, Sunoco Hard Charger Award. Brand new team, the always evolving team, Roger Rodas, getting the Hard Charger Award up 6 spots and his first top 5 finish. Great race by that team. And the Kia turning point, this one was easy.
Well, just when we thought James Sofronis may have something for our leader, Johnny O'Connell has this moment down in turn 1. We think it was some kind of braking issue, turned him around, knocks him off the podium.
Tough break for sure. Our Motul Fast Lap of the Race Award winners in GT. Number 3, Johnny O'Connell in the Cadillac. And the 36 of Nick Janssen, even though he had his mechanical problems. A great run there. Thanks so much for joining us here at Toronto. For Calvin Fish and Jeff Lepper, I'm Greg Creamer. Take care.